Hello. 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 What up, everybody? How's it going? Sup with it? Hey there. How are you? Hello, hello, hello. What up? This is here. This is here. Lovely. I'll call here. Open this up. Hello, Void Control UVS. How's it going, buddy? Excited for tonight? I'm excited for tonight too. Currently we have. Hold on, let me check. Let me check. This is here. I get rid of this question. I'm gonna clean up the questions asked. Roman cancel is so cool. I agree, even if I can't read. I agree, even if I can't read. I'll be right back, chat. I'll be right back. 1 second. Hold on. Holding. I didn't get what you're referring to. I'll talk about it. Hello, hello, hello. I'm just gonna come jump in here. I've been waiting for too long. I'll let Barrett pop in whenever he's ready. What up, everybody? Oh, the thing that I couldn't read was I thought that purple worked on defense, and it does not. It says when your attack is blocked, clear it, draw a card, rather than after you block an attack, clear it, draw a card. And so I did a whole 20-minute video being like, whoa, 2 of these are offensive and 2 of these are defensive, and that's not true. 3 of them are offensive, and 1 of them is defensive. Hello? Sorry. What up?
What up?
What up?
Sorry. Every time I do this, I have to swap mics.
That's fair. Oh, you go from your headset to this thing?
Yeah, because like when I'm casually gaming with the boys, like I don't keep this on because I'll sometimes walk away from my computer, so I'll keep the wireless one on. So
Okay.
yeah, I have to swap it.
I dig it. I dig it.
I usually only use this for content purposes.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I'll just get you on screen. There's no reason not to have you on screen. Do this. Wrong screen, Tam. Alright. And then I have to... I'll click this and do this. And come here. How's your week, man? I haven't talked to you since this weekend when we did Canada.
Yeah, it's been good. Exciting stuff at work. Working on some new stuff. Messing around with a bunch of new cards. And then, it's really about it. I guess there was a big announcement today, that I didn't know was happening today. So, good for us to have a podcast, I guess, on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get plenty of questions. So
Instantly
I
got a question about it.
Okay, I will pull up the article just so I'm aware of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Kinda want to discuss the combo we've been having in Discord about money cards and whether they are necessary to perform a competitive event. Skins, open a ticket, man. Open a ticket, come join the show. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you. I deleted all my social media. IDK, what's going on? Wait, Skins, does that include the Discord? How are you having a conversation in Discord and not able to it's in my Discord. You're having this conversation in my Discord. Open a ticket in my Discord. What do you mean? What? just come jump on the whatever.
To be fair, that is a pretty normal thing. I know a lot of people right now that are not on social media based off of events that happened earlier this week. So, that's
and
fair.
we are not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about it. I agree. I'm here to talk about card games because that's why we play card games.
Yeah.
But I think that is not the first time that I've read this week of I deleted all of my social media this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I'm here to talk about cards.
Yeah, and that I'm also here to talk about cards. If you want to hear all that political talk, go over to Riftbound Ramblings, where you can get all of Barrett's takes on everything on the political climate right now.
No, I guess I'll ask you. I mean, what are you up to? I mean, the reality is, we just finished 3 weekends of events, and now the next big thing is Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Which we'll be at, but I don't know. Like, I mean, 3 events in a row. I'm sure people are talking. I'm sure people aren't talking. It is what it is, right? But I feel like, honestly, post the Canada event, aside from today, I feel like it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah,
I'm a pro
yeah.
lurker,
I mean, this
and
whole
it's
week's been
just
kind of quiet. I mean, I had a little bit of discourse in my chat, which is what Skins was talking about. Of like, do you need money cards? Which we'll talk about on the cast
true.
tonight. Honestly, the big thing that I am doing is I'm just like I'm trying to not force myself, but like try to find some love of some like crazy mid-level brews. Um, which I will funny enough is another topic to talk on the show. But I'm trying to find some things that are not at like the upper echelon of competitive play and like really get back into to brewing for the game, which is like the thing that like the game is like one of the pillars for how to enjoy the game is like making sick brews. And so after we get done with stream tonight, my plan is I'm gonna record a bunch of deck building videos for the characters that I drafted for this week's top eight, or for next week's top eight or whatever, and I'll put those up on YouTube and Patreon. I just like really try and invigorate myself back again with like brewing cards, like brewing the game again, um, as
Yeah, just
opposed
like
to
deck
just
building.
like yeah, just like really because I've
Sure.
got I've got a deck build that I want. I'll go ahead and spoil the character. It's for Caleb Widowgast, which is
Yeah, yeah.
like
You talked about this, I think, on stream, maybe. I don't know. I
maybe
tuned in for some of your stuff this week. You were
yeah
talking about it's like I enjoyed you and Pippa doing the league lore, obviously, because I
yeah
like league.
yeah
I didn't watch any of your games last night, but when I got home after hanging out with friends, I was talking to Nate, and so I know you were playing against Nate last night. So, um, but yeah, it's just weird because like I'm down to talk about Universus. There's 3 events in a row. Obviously, I deal with Universus every day. Uh, and I'm also down to talk about Riftbound. But the reality is, like, I'm over here like angst. I'm doing the Deku thing in my
yeah
chair, waiting
yeah
for Riftbound news, at least English wise, and we're just not really getting it at this rate. But I know that it's coming. It's just like when, right?
yeah yeah
Because they have an event they have to announce that's happening this year. Uh, and they have to announce all the English like tournament information for all that stuff. So like I'm excited for that. And then as soon as I get my hands on like physical cards, I think I'll be a lot happier. Um, but yeah, right now I'm just kind of waiting.
yeah. That, I know somebody who has proxied off high quality 3 full master playsets of high quality Riftbound
Yeah,
stuff to
yeah.
like play some games with, which is cool and dope. And I'm pretty sure that next Thursday I'm gonna be hanging out with that person in Lincoln. I don't know if you
Really
want
good.
to
I'm hanging out with them next Wednesday.
with next Wednesday.
So that was the
Oh,
day that we shifted it to. So I think
oof! You're doing like a
yeah.
Wednesday thing, man. If
Well,
it was
Thursday
a,
I told him I had obligations with somebody on a
it's
stream,
so
but it sounds like
interesting
my
because
obligations are
it
about to get
feels like
canceled.
it feels like it feels like maybe maybe that person was like, oh, I can make a Thursday happen because I bet that my co-host might be busy on Thursday. But if it's Wednesday, we can make
So
Wednesday happen.
originally it was, hey, he told me I'm pretty wide open on Thursday if that works, and I go, that works for me. I'll just have to like I didn't say your name, but I was like, I assume you're staying in Lincoln or closer to your folks. He goes, yep, this is where I live. Actually, how does Wednesday look for you all? And I go, Wednesday is also fine.
Hmm.
So I mean, the reality is that my weekday evenings are pretty open. Aside
Yeah.
from, I usually dedicate Thursdays to you. Wednesdays I go hang out with my friends. Tuesdays I occasionally will go to trivia. Like I mean, but like my evenings are pretty open. And
Yeah.
then like Friday's like the weekend, so it just kind of is what it is. But I just knew that I started the conversation with him because I said, "Hey, I know you're coming to town. I know that obviously we shouldn't hang out on the 20th because I would assume that you're going to watch the Husker game. So I like blocked off the 20th. Um, But I don't even know how many people I'll be grabbing. Like I know Nate's down, but that's because Nate's always down.
Yeah, Nate's always down.
But like the reality is like I can hang out multiple days. It just sounded like I was going to be heading over on Wednesday, but maybe it's because the Thursday got booked with just you. Maybe you're the exclusive Thursday time, and
Well,
I'm the
now hold
exclusive
on.
Wednesday time.
My thing just happened literally today, so I don't think that's true.
Okay.
I don't think it's true.
But yeah, I brought it up earlier
Okay.
because I was following up with him.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Either way, you ready to get this show on the road? I got somebody who
Yeah, I'm
is
ready.
doing who's first topic of the show and has to go be on a podcast a little bit later. So we gotta schmoove a bit.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, that's fine.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Tam and Barrett Universus Super Show. My name's Tam. I'm joined by Barrett and my third co-caster, you. If you are interested in coming being on the show, like I have a couple of awesome people lined up, I now have two ways for you to ask questions. Number one, the best way is come and join my Discord. Open a ticket in the Ask Tam a Question channel. Ask a question. We'll get you on the show. We'll have a 3-person cast. Me, Barrett, and you all hanging out and talking about your cool thing about Universus. Or the other way that you can do it is you can on Twitch specifically, not on YouTube. Don't have a way to do that yet, but I'll figure it out. You can spend your hard-earned channel points and ask a question over there. I will look at those and make sure to do it. We will be prioritizing Discord questions over Twitch questions, but when we run out of Discord questions, we'll move over to Twitch questions, and that's the way that we're going to be doing it. So with that, we have a guest of the show, somebody who is absolutely rock solid in the community, your current world champion, Kevin Broberg, joining us to ask his very awesome question. Kevin, hello, buddy. How are you?
Hey, folks, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear
sir.
you.
Outstanding. Yeah, so I really liked the article that they posted on the on UVSgames.com the other day of here are some combos of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I thought I'd get your guys' opinion. What makes a good combo, and what are combos to the game? Like, what's the game if we didn't have combos, I guess? Really, like, whatever good means to you, what's a good combo?
I love the question, and I'm going to change it because I hate the word. I hate the word combo. I hate it. You know it. I know it. I hate the word combo. Specifically because we have a proper noun in the game called combo. And so when we talk about combos in Universus, I think of if this card was directly after this card, I do a thing. I get an enhancer response or whatever. That's where my brain goes. And then I have to think about
great combo. Yeah,
yes.
I feel you.
Yes. And so I'm going to change the word to tactic whenever I talk about it. If you want to say combo, you can say combo. I use the word tactic because a tactic is how two or more cards work in conjunction together. It is a tactically work together. So cool tactics. First and foremost, I thought the article was neat. I thought the article was interesting. I thought the article was well written. I think that there were some cool ideas there. Not necessarily for you to put these ideas inside of your deck and go win the next regional, but to get you thinking about how different pieces could fit together to make your own puzzle, ask your own questions, and then answer your own questions. And that's what I thought the article was really useful for.
Yeah, Bear, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so on the what makes a good combo, how important are I think for me it starts off with a little behind the scenes, at least specifically like with the article, right? Is so if you've been paying attention for a long time, we typically will do something adjacent to what this what this article is shaped like and have been for a while now. And I don't know if you remember, but they used to be like closer to some of the designers like creating deck lists that would like highlight specific combos, and they would like talk about specific things within a deck list. It has kind of evolved away from that in the idea of we don't give full deck lists anymore. It's just like here's a couple of cards that obviously if you stared at UVS Ultra, like anybody could figure these things out, right? Like this isn't like game-breaking things that people like Tam said are putting in their top-tier decks, right? But I think the idea, of course, is just like, wow, like I really like forward flip slash, and the idea of being able to give this multiple instances of EX are powerful. Like that makes sense to me, right? Because its static will say, hey, you're allowed to mill one each time you pay for this attack's EX or powerful ability, right? So then you go and you just start looking at all the cards that you could do maybe in the world to do this extra little thing. But that doesn't exactly like answer your question of like what makes a good combo and how important are combos to Universes. I want to use a different word here of just like synergies or like I even want to like use the word kit, but the thing is like kits is like a nebulous term that we used to say beforehand. But the idea is like I think they are important. I think they gravitate people towards decks or play styles quickly, which when at least when it comes to getting the comfort of learning fundamental Universus. And the reason why I bring this up is because I mean you're here with us, Kevin, is which is like I can't think of somebody in the game that when it comes down to if I put them in a cave with a box of UVS cards, even if the cards don't fundamentally work well together, if they don't have that synergy, who is really good at fundamentals? And like I'll be like, oh, it's Kevin Broberg. Like Kevin Broberg plays the game fundamentally well. But how do we as the low people of the world become closer to the peak of what Kevin Broberg is at Universes? Well, we need a little bit more guidance. We need a little bit more tools that have these synergies so that they level up our fundamentals by showing us synergies between cards and strategies, even if they're not on the same symbols. So I think they're important when it comes to building an identity as a player and unlocking ways to put powerful ideas into decks and deck building. Because I think the reality is that I don't think deck building in our game is very easy. And so
Yeah,
combos,
absolutely.
yeah, and I think combos or kits is another way to is a way to like ease people into that process. I agree with you though that what Tam was saying, like the word combo is also like weird to me because I know when we talk about like top tier competitive play, some people will describe combo as like a deck archetype also, and like some people would
True. Yeah.
say that like one shot Deku is a combo deck, right? It's doing this thing. It's setting up a large amount of pieces to put together to create a combo that is hopefully leading to a game win. And I don't know if that's necessarily what we're
Yeah. Or like,
talking about in this conversation.
well, I think actually, at first I gotta say, I'm incredibly flattered to hear myself described as like the most fun, like among the most fundamentally sound. You know, I don't need combos to win whatever players, because that's not my self-image of myself. I think like I definitely, practice the game. I try to develop that skill, but I see myself as a combo Johnny player almost. Actually, I see myself as a teamy. If we got back archetypes, that's a whole other conversation, really. Um, I love combos. Like that's my jam. I'm like just clicking on UVS Ultra. Like, oh, what could these work together? Could there be a deck that has this little package in it? And it's really interesting because almost like the perspective you have on this is like almost a polar flipped opposite of how I see it. Because I think I was gonna say I wanted to butt in and say an example of a real combo deck that we had. I was like casting my mind back since MHA, and I think one of the best examples is the All Might One Punch deck. Right, it said I'm gonna stack my All Might, I'm gonna get my momentum, I'm gonna feed the machine this right set of combinations, and then the sum of these parts is going to add up to unblockable 50 damage, win the game every time. If you don't have the right answers or whatever.
Yeah. And when it comes to that, if that's the question, I think they are important because of players like you existing. I think
yeah.
The availability of being able to cater to multiple playstyles and for all of them to feel viable is the key there. Is what leads people to engage with your game and engage with your tools and your toys, right? So I would agree with you that like One Punch All Might was a deck, and for that entirety after it top cut in an event, you can ask Tam and I because we were practicing and playing the game at that time pretty hardcore. we were always talking about it. None of us were playing it, but we always were like, you gotta sideboard these ones because you gotta live, or you gotta remember that you gotta remember this, but this All Might deck exists. You gotta remember, and so I think that answers like the importance of it. But what makes a good combo?
There's
I
two
don't know,
answers.
man.
There's two answers.
I think this is a
the word
subjective answer, but
the
sure.
word good
And-
is what's going to trip you up. There's two
Yeah.
main definitions. It is what makes an efficient combo and what makes a cool combo. Efficient combos are things like Titan Cliff, build in finally free, flip finally free, get momentum, use Godzilla, spin momentum, play your next attack.
Yeah,
That is a
absolutely.
3-part combo that is very efficient at doing the thing that Godzilla wants to do. Big move, Godzilla asks for momentum. I ask and I answer the question inside of this little 3-piece. Cool combos are things like playing Emerge Victorious, destroying a Jaegerist to then go find a 10 difficulty
Colossus Titan,
Titan so that your Harness Undeath can actually connect, and you destroyed the backup, so now your Harness Undeath has a burn, and there's like, you go, oh, I didn't see how you went from A to B to C to D to E, but E is really dope. How efficient is that? It's not that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not that
I've
efficient.
told you this. I've told you on the podcast. One of my favorite decks in this current era that we exist is Mimic, because of being able to do stuff like that. Right? It's like, oh, Mimic has a good slew of symbols, so that the world of Attune, he can play Emerge Victorious. He gets to play backups like Cynthia, and he gets to play the emerging threats, and also playing things like Hunter's Ally, all because we have Earth Evil and Chaos. So because he has all those things, that exact combo you talk about, I love that combo. I think that's really cool. And it's just something I get to put a couple of cards into my deck, that the reality is that this is a backup looking shaped Mimic deck. But because we're doing all those things, it's like, oh, we're playing multiple card types. We're playing backups, assets, attacks, foundations, etc. Right? So like that, a combo like that to me is not the same of like what we talk about what Midoriya does. Because Midoriya, I think people want to talk about is like, oh no, that's the play style of the deck. Because any attack can be a game-winning piece if we fulfill this eventual long-term, or this game plan of, I need enough foundations to do this uninteractive kind of combo that only this character and a certain slew of attacks can do.
Yeah, let me introduce yet another term we can use instead of the word combo. I think of synergy, right?
Yeah.
Of two cards that fit together in some way. What
Yeah.
makes and I agree with you that like Deku really kind of challenges this whole paradigm when we talk about a combo deck or whatever. Because at some level, like a lot of Deku is like incredibly fungible. It's the opposite of synergy in a lot of ways, right? I'll commit any 10 foundations. It doesn't matter what they are.
Yeah.
They just have to be great cards. They can be face on whatever, however they got there. I don't care. That's 15-15. Now I play any attack, and 15-15 is pretty hard to block. It's probably going to win the game.
I think I'll give a better answer on what makes a good one, right? So you talk about Titan Cliff plus Finally Free and Godzilla specifically. Absolutely. Yeah. That is a very powerful 2-card combo. You dedicate 8 little slots in your deck, and you get to pull those little cool little combos or synergy, right?
And then I want to co-sign the spectrum of efficient to cool, or like to exciting or whatever. Like that's a good spectrum.
That's fair. So then my question then would be, let's talk about another recent one. Because I think when I also think of combo, we have to think of another word before it: infinite combos, right?
Yeah.
So I want to bring this up because let's talk about the unique rule change and the association with military airships and what people were originally going to be doing with equipment heist and military airship. And originally, in Hawks specifically, we'll talk about Hawks, because he picks up 2 attacks. In Hawks, it was, you need equipment heist, your 2 feathers in your discard pile, and 1 more attack. That was initially the amount of pieces you need to do the combo, correct?
Yep.
Now, if you want to do specifically the play a bunch of attacks one, It is the 2 feathers, pristine sword play, specifically like 2 of them, right? You need 2 of them, and military airship equipment heist. So we've now extended the amount of pieces you need for the combo to work. It still exists. Like, obviously, you are allowed to play quote unquote infinite attacks with 0 interaction from your opponent if you find these things. Would you say that because the amount of pieces that was increased, that's what makes it a good combo?
Well,
Or now it's worse,
I
right?
still want to
it's
use
cool.
the sliding scale
The
of
fun.
efficient to cool, right?
So the amount of pieces it needs
It makes it
changes the
less
more
efficient.
fun.
Yeah, for sure. It
So it
slides
makes it more fun.
It slides it down to cool if that's like the duality of the idea. I think that is true. And what makes a combo really cool, in my opinion, is the Venn diagram of how many combo pieces touch other combo pieces. Like, I'm going to go back to my example of the Emerge Victorious. This is all coming out of a Caleb Widogast deck. And the entire original point was Mechazoid is a single card trigger for Betraying Marco. If I have Betraying Marco and a Mechazoid out,
Yes,
I mill 1 for 1/1. And I went,
he's found the sauce.
what is a Fire Void character that wants to do this? And then I went, well, hold on. This guy says I get to go pick up
backups,
spells. There's a backup. I go grab Harness Undeath. Okay, well now how do I get that Mechazoid in my discard pile and make the most out of it? Emerge Victorious. How do I get the thing to land? Okay, there's the 10 drop. And so now I've got like this engine, and every piece that I add, I could just make the deck. The entire deck could be, I play a bunch of channeling spell seals. I have 1 Mechazoid and 4 Betray Marcos, and all my spell seals are just 8 high for 8s. And I've done the combo thing, right? These 2 pieces are synergizing together, right? The Betray Marco and the 1 copy of the Mechazoid. Like, that's a combo. I've done it. That's very efficient. But as I start adding in all this extra junk and what is touching, what is not, it very quickly slides from efficient to cool. Very quickly.
Yeah. But I think at the core of the question, like, how important are they to Universus? I think the way that you just described it and how much fun you were having just talking about it is exactly why they're important. They bring people to unique deck building, and that might not be the end result. But I want to bring up like Nathan DeWalt here as well, because Nathan DeWalt loves green cards. That's we love Nathan DeWalt. But another thing that Nathan DeWalt specifically likes right now, and Kevin, you can attest to this because I know he messages you like once a week, is he likes the idea of putting cards face down in his stage as foundations and finding ways to unflip them, and they're not always gray ones. He wants them to be some other secret mouse tool for later. And that idea, that concept, is how Nathan builds his decks right now, because he likes that combo. He likes however you pull it off. He wants to do that little combo. And he loves it. It brings him joy. And I look at Nate and I go, well, are we going to do this at a competitive level? I mean, I'll do my best to help you and talk to you about what we think this looks like. But the reality is, Tam, is that that's not exactly what I think is the most important part about the process. It's the engagement you get from deck building. I think it makes people smarter in deck building as a whole. And when you find those synergies, when you go forcefully look for them, I think it means when it comes to a higher level of play, you can see lines that people won't see in a normal game. Because our entire game is also about adaptation.
Yeah.
And so sometimes your line doesn't work, or your opponent has an answer to your specific little thing. If you were a good deck builder and you were good at finding that first line at the deck building process, how do we unlock the line still when presented with an opposition? And that's where I would go back to Kevin.
Kevin, yep,
that's
this is
why
exactly
he's so good
Kevin.
at the game. That's why he's so good at the game. Because he has a combo or a synergy that he's put into his deck, and no matter who his opponent is, he'll find a way to unlock the way to bring his deck to its full potential. And that's where I think I use the word fundamentally he's a good player. His fundamentals are very good.
This is the closest I have, combos in general are the closest that I have to chess pattern recognition. At the
Sure.
at the deck building screen, I look and I go, this and this makes sense, put it together. So when I see them on the board, I go, oh, I recognize this and this work together. And the more that you can tax your mental load to expand what that pattern is and see which pieces I'm allowed to shift in and out, which ones I'm allowed to not be hard stuck on A plus B plus C, but I could possibly add in, I could replace B with a 2 or 1 to make the combo work, will make me better at understanding and adapting to that, as well as understanding and recognizing what combos my rival is doing. There is a cool thing that I've never seen before. I have to read this new card that I didn't know existed. Okay, I read it and go, what is the pattern recognition? How does this working in your deck? It was so important to your game plan, to your synergy, that you had decided to include this. You'd have that knowledge to then move forward and work through that puzzle in an appropriate time. Yeah, I think having combos is all about pattern recognition, and that's why I think they're important to Universus.
Kevin.
Yeah. It's a fun conversation.
It's great. No, I'll be honest. At its core, I don't think I am a combo player. I don't think this is. I'm very much like.
You're a filthy aggro player. I know who you are.
Sure.
You're here for the fundamentals. You're here to make control checks into attack and block and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to out. It's funny. I was having a conversation. Not that anyone cares, but obviously I'm very single. So I've been talking to women, and I don't know how I got here. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I was trying to explain to somebody my hobby. You know, like I'm getting real with you guys.
Yeah, get real.
Yeah.
Get real.
She's like, can you tell me more about these card games that you play? And I go, absolutely. And I was describing the idea of like, and she asked me the question. She asked, so how did you get into it? And I went, I guess aside from my friends and I just deciding to do this thing, why did I get into it? Why do I like card games? And part of it is like, yeah, you know, the self-expression and deck building, yes, I do love all that stuff. And like finding exactly what we're talking about, these synergies, and that part is very fun and interesting to me. But then when I sat down and I told her, I go, well, I think the reason I like it is I enjoy strategy games and I'm trying to always outthink and outmaneuver my opponent. And I want to flex that skill. And I like wrote that out and I sent it to her and I go, wow, are all card game players just really conceited? Because that's what we all want to do.
Yeah. Yes.
We're always trying to prove to
Yes.
the other person across from the table that we're better than them, right? Right? In like a game of mental gymnastics. And I go, oh my God, are we assholes?
Yes.
And
that
I
is
said it out loud
yes.
to a human being that doesn't play card games. And I was like, oh my God, she's not going to want to talk to me anymore because like of who it might define me as a person.
Yes.
And I go, no, but I do enjoy that. I enjoy mental opposition.
Yeah.
It's like why people debate, right? You know, I enjoy that, and that is exactly what strategy games are, right?
Let me take it down even further. The reason I like card games is because it is non-combative combat, right? Like it's non-dangerous combat, right?
Martial arts guys.
Yes, it's like instead of me trying to punch you in the face to say that I win the game, I now get to have Ryu throw a Hadouken instead, and like nobody's gonna walk away with their nose touching their ear. Like that's where it's at. It's why people like chess. It's why people like fighting games. It's why people like literally any sort of competition. Like that's it, man.
And I think that's part of why I was like, and because like somebody said it even, like the reason I like card games is because I like winning. And I go, man, I don't even think I give a shit about winning. It's just like if somebody beats me, there's a step along the way where either I thought of an incorrect strategy or my opponent outsmarted me at some point in the process, right? The deck building process, the meta analysis process, or you know the actual like in-game decision making and stuff like that. Like there's so much you can talk about it, right? And it's funny because I have Kevin here, and Kevin has introduced to me a couple of weeks ago. And I've really and this is probably a bad idea because I work on the game design team, but like I really have really deep dived onto game theory and boy, howdy, that shit wrinkles my brain.
Oh, it's great.
Like, I'm like, holy shit! Like, it is just like, because this is exactly all that we're talking, or what I brought up. I kind of segue this, obviously, but I think that at its core, what makes a good combo and how important our combos to Universus is that I think that's just card games, man. I think that's what people want to find. They want to feel that dopamine, that adrenaline that you get when your deck does the thing that you designed it to do.
Yeah, so I want to highlight. Like, so I've been grinning ear to ear for like 5 minutes, man. This is awesome. I want to say that I think there's sort of two sides to every coin, right? I think there's two like, and so at the very deepest level, we can say, well, why did I win this game? Well, there were the things that I could control and things I couldn't control. There was the skill that I could bring to the table, and there was the luck that I could. There was everything outside of that. And one thing, and maybe this is just like my deep-seated insecurities about the game, but some of this is when I was like a beginning player, and I knew I wasn't anything. I get outplayed all the time, or whatever. I had cheaper cards than everyone else. I couldn't buy. I was in high school, whatever. I was playing my budget Sophia deck. If you can't win fair, you can fight unfair. You can do, and one thing that you can do with combos, and I am like fudging my. I had a cool build up to this. Better build up to this. But one thing you do with combos is you can win the game without outplaying your opponent. You don't have to be better than them. Combos can give you a way to get lucky in the game that allows you to get further ahead than you should be if you were playing correctly. You don't have to play the game. You don't have to play the games. I'm getting too excited about this. You don't have to play the same game as your opponent, and but you're still playing the same universes, but you're not playing the same way as your opponent. There can be mismatches. There can be lots of different skills involved, and it doesn't have to be a straight up heads up fight of who has the bigger wallet to buy the better cards. It can be, well, who can play the game in all the many dimensions of the game and maneuver, through a combination of luck and skill into the win to recognize the winner of the game. But I mean, another angle of this is that you're saying that you don't have to be the winner. One angle of the game is that, well, there's one winner and one loser. It's a zero-sum contest. There's a zero-sum of fun. One person has as much fun as they can have at the expense of the other person, or you can have a positive sum game where the very act of playing it enriches both of you.
Yeah.
And I think combos can be like all that good self-expression stuff, all that good dopamine and serotonin or whatever of having your machine click together. That's intrinsically satisfying. It's intrinsically great. And one of the things that makes Universus such a great system is that you have lots of cards moving around. You have lots of opportunities for the cards to fit together and to have bigger synergies than the text in the card box.
Yeah, I totally
combos sound great.
Yeah.
Combos sound great.
Combo sounds sick.
So then I want to ask you the question: what makes a bad combo? We don't have to go down that road.
Well, no. Okay. I mean, a bad combo, that's talked. I think actually, Tam's. I think it's not a spectrum of a good combo is exciting and a good combo is effective. I think those are kind of actually separate, right? I've had some cool decks that I thought were very good, and I've had some effective decks that were kind of lame, and I've had some. I've had the whole spectrum, right? There's lots of two-piece combos that just don't do very much, but you can kind of see how they fit together. They're just very weak cards. So the combo overall is a flop, and it's really obvious. It's really lame. So I think that there's lots of bad combos out there. It's not very remarkable because you look at them and you're like, oh, that's not very good. That's not very cool. Let's move on.
I think of it this is a Magic the Gathering reference. The Crab Rave combo, right? Where there's the crab that taps for creating mana or whatever, and then you have another card that you pay that mana to untap the crab, and you go and without introducing anything else to the combo or whatever. It's tap this crab for a mana, pay this mana, untap the crab, and you're like, wow, this is a really cool thing. I get to move this crab up and side down, but it doesn't actually do anything, right? It's the Crab Rave. You're just dancing. But as soon as you introduce insert other Magic card,
yeah, it can actually be that wins the game. Yeah,
and it can be something that wins the game, right? But the idea being is that sometimes in Universus, you put these synergies, you put these two card combos into your deck, and you go, wow, I did the thing, but it actually resulted in I blew up 3 foundations to do it, and I got my opponent to use a very powerful block, and I didn't actually do anything, and I feel like I negatived on this, and you're like, but it was a lot of fun. I did the thing that I said I was going to do, but it's not very good,
Yeah.
So I understand the idea. somebody was talking to me about like Nature's Tempest, right? I think of like
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, well, if I play Nature's Tempest, right, I can choose to keep none of them, right? You know, because it's
Let's play
worded weird.
Challenger Aaron. Flip my sage. Boom.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you're like, oh, I'll play Spike or something, right? And you're like, I want all the face downs. So you play Nature's Tempest, and you're like, they're all face down now. And so, and you're like, wow, you did the thing. You now give +X as Spike.
Dope.
But you had, yeah, you gotta
That's
still
sick.
play the game, right? You gotta, and sometimes +X is maybe good enough. I don't know, but I know what you're saying, and I don't know. I hope we've talked about it to a good degree, because like I do think that like at its core, however, whatever word you want to use, synergies, a kit,
Yeah.
a deck archetype, whatever, right? I do think at its core, that is how you get players engaged with the tools of Universus. Everyone has, I think, something in this capacity of what we're talking about. The reason why they like a deck is because of some sort of combo that they do inside of it. And that, I think, is what makes people attached and, you know, strive to make their deck better or become a better Universus player.
Yeah, it's an intentionally incredibly open-ended question, and I think like I think the first question is like, well, what's good even mean? It's what do you value as a player, as a spectator, as whatever? And so yeah, intentionally incredibly open-ended, as pretty much about as open-ended as you can get. So
Yeah.
it's been a great
Perfect. We
conversation.
love those. Awesome.
All right,
No,
buddy.
it was great. I'm glad we honestly saved it too, because we almost did this last week, but now that you were here for it, I hope we gave you a good enough smile, a good enough grin, because it was fun. I think the like big picture questions, like you said, the more open-ended ones, I don't know, they like really reinvigorate like why I love card games and why I love this game, right? You know, it's because there is that much flexibility just within the game itself.
You might even call it peak universes.
That's right.
We've done it.
I had to get one in.
With that, thanks, Kevin, so much. We're gonna kick you out and then jump into the next question.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Kevin.
With that, we've got a couple. I'm trying to get people on, but I've got questions lined up, stacked up.
Oh gosh, really? I stopped paying attention when I gave all my
yeah.
attention to Kevin.
Okay, perfect. We have our next one. Fan of the show. He was just in the chat. In my Discord. We have Skins joining us to talk about a conversation that happened in Discord. Skins, hello. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm
Hello.
swell. Hit us with a question, please.
Okay. It's gonna be a little long-winded. I wrote some stuff down while I was waiting.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a couple of points I want to hit. Money cards, are they necessary? What makes a card valuable? Where do these cards lead the meta? And can you, I guess, perform well in a tournament, like a high-level competition without them? So, first off, I want to talk about what makes a card valuable. Obviously, there's things like power level, availability, like how much product is out there and how much product people have actually pulled. And then there's like the intrinsic value of a card. So, like, for an example, Determined Advance. It's a generically powerful card. What is the rarity? They said it's an ultra rare, right?
You fading out one more time?
Determined Advance. Just double
Yeah.
checking.
Yeah, I get the idea of the question. I guess I have to ask your question. I have to answer with another question, because I don't know if I like the term necessarily money cards. I'm glad you put it in quote, but like, because my idea is like, as we look at card games as a whole, I think there is a decision and a differentiation that we need to kind of talk about Universus and which cards inevitably hold value in Universus. Because like, if I held up this alternate art Vexalia, based off of what I believe this card is worth and what people have sold this card for in the past, I would say that this card is a money card. But I think what we're trying to describe here is like chase cards within a set. And we are specifically, I think, when using the connotations of chase cards, talking about cards that are specifically worth a lot of money because they are competitively viable. Is that kind of what we're talking about?
Yeah, more towards the competitively viable
Yeah.
cards.
And I think that's the biggest differentiation, at least for Universus, is that I firmly believe, and based off of like if you go do market analysis of Universus specifically compared to other card games, a lot of the cards that have any sort of value in our game are because they are played at a competitive level or are they perceived by the competitive community to be powerful. AKA our entire secondary market is strictly dependent on what competitive play looks like. Meanwhile, games like Pokemon, because of collectors and the amount of product that's open and yada yada yada, the accessibility to said product, that's just not the case. Like the most competitive deck or world's winning deck or whatever, like I can go buy Gardevoirs off of the internet for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a billion of them, but it is a highly competitive deck, and it was that's not the chase card, right? So I just want to dial into the idea of we're talking about cards that have increased value because they are perceived as competitively more powerful cards. To then go to the question, do you need money cards to play Universus? And the easy answer is just no. The long answer is, do you need money cards to do well? Well, based off of how our market is determined and what I just said, the world of people that play Universus would say yes. But I can go pull up an Ultra. I did go pull it up. I went and pulled up the Alicante Regional, which happened 3 weekends ago. And you can have a very, very distinct conversation about what's going on, right? If I look at Daniel Osa's deck.
Literally, it's on my screen. That was the point I was going to make.
Okay.
Please continue.
If I'm looking at Daniel Osa's deck, and if I go down this list, specifically the attacks, most of our foundations in our game aren't worth a lot. I go to Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken. Someone can do a spot check. Go figure out how much that one's worth. And I look at Walk the Dog. Because I can tell you that no matter what you tell me the perceived value of these cards are, from what I understand at a competitive level, Swarm by Titans isn't worth anything. Smashing Stomp I get out of a deck. Titan Cliff is a common. Heat Ray I get out of a deck. Unfazed I get out of a deck. City Rampage I get out of a deck. I go look at the foundations.
Vast Hybrid is 15. Walk the Dog is 43.
So, and the reason I want to bring this up is in the same folder. Let's go back one. So 4x Vast Hybrid, that's a $60 price tag, and then one Walk the Dog, you're already over $100, right? Let's do that math. Go to third place. Go to David Diaz Perez, literally one place lower. And this guy isn't even playing 4 copies of Vast Hybrid. He put $30 into his attack package, and without even going and looking them up, Tam, the rest of the attacks in this deck, the other one you have to maybe look up is support for the female Titan. This deck is significantly less money. Significantly. Why? Because there's not a copy of Walk the Dog in it to be seen, and we're playing less Vast Hybrid Chimera Krakens. But the reality is that this deck is probably less than $100, which standards of playing in other card games competitively, to get third place at a regional with a deck that costs less than $100 is pretty fucking good across the world of card games. So to go back to your question, as I'm getting off of Ultra, because I will look at it forever. Do you need money cards to play Universus? Obviously not, because decks exist, and you can just go buy a Challenger deck. Do you even need money cards to do well in Universus? The answer is typically no. I would also. And I've actually believed that for a long time. This is where I will dive into a very brief understanding before I pass it to Tam of like, when I was introduced to the game, people told me through and through, yeah, the ultra rares are meant to be shiny and meant to look good, and they have the super arts or whatever of said characters on them. But the bread and butter of Universus is in the commons and uncommons and rares. and they're not worth anything. They're everywhere. Everyone's got them, and you can play a deck as long as you get good at the mechanics and understanding the game. You can build a powerful deck that does the thing that you want to do and plays the game with a box of scraps. You can do it.
Especially on the void symbol now.
The real question we have is, yeah, sure, or things like Titan Cliff or at the common level, etc.
Yeah.
So I think the question is like when you look at it, like because they're within the same decks. We talked. You specifically named Determined Advance.
Yeah.
And Determined Advance is a sought after money card from Attack on Titan 1, which was a large set, and it has a tune, so it's playable in a multitude of characters without commitment to the symbol. And it does a very powerful thing and has a very powerful continuous effect or static ability on it. All of those pieces together say this card, at least in our world, should be worth a lot of money. And it is. But it doesn't mean that you need it to do well with the characters that would quote unquote play it the best. Because even that first list that we looked at, the one that had one copy of Walk the Dog in it, wasn't playing Determined Advanced. I think of the Toga 3 lists that people were playing, like about AOT 1 or beforehand, right? And that deck is fucking expensive, man.
Yeah.
That deck is actually a down payment on a car. Because you needed Deception Daggers and Walk the Dogs and I don't name another weapon.
Barrett, how many regional wins did Toga get?
0.
0.
So the answer, I think after all of this yapping I've done, do you need them? Absolutely not.
Okay.
But they look cool.
Yeah, they look cool. So another thing I wanted to touch on was cards. I don't know a lot about Universus, like Universal Fighting System. I didn't play that much.
Sure.
I'm mostly from My Hero and on, like most people here.
Oh yeah.
When My Hero, the first set came out, we had 2 secret rares that were kind of leading into what Kevin said earlier about kits. Those secret rares were kind of part of a kit. So they were hard to find and they were kind of niche. They were very specific to what like this character did. But now you have secret rares. It's kind of a mixed bag, really, because like in Turtles, you have like backup secret rares. But like in Critical Role, you have a couple of generically powerful secret rares in Violent Anima Shot and Mighty Blitz. They do really good stuff, and there's not a lot of restriction to them.
But in that same category, you have Harness on Death, right? And that card requires you to be playing a specific type of deck.
Grog's
or
Rage.
Against us. Grog's Rage, right? I mean, yeah, the 2-check. Like
that card's never
mean,
topped
granted-
anything ever, right? Like as an idea.
I'll give you a better example because I have it in my hand. Hey, this card was a secret rare in a set.
And it's for sale right now if you're looking to buy it from Barrett. There's only 2 that exist.
But you're
or whatever.
right. Skins, I think mixed bag is the best way to describe it. What determines what ends up as a secret rare? I don't know. It's up to the designer.
Barrett.
But like you're right. When I look at even MHA set 1, right? MHA set 1, we had the initially on release perceived better one, which was honestly I thought it was the Deku Punch. I don't remember the name of these cards. But as we quickly found out, Nitro Ignition or whatever,
Which
that
is
card's
funny enough
broken.
on my desk.
That card's broken. Like that card's it's not and broken. I'm being facetious. But the idea is like you're like, wow, the potential of this card is way higher when we unlock it and do all these different extra synergies. Meanwhile, one of them is like, yeah, I play this at the end of my string and I get to draw 3 more cards. And then immediately in the next set, you had 2 secret rares that were unplayable. um,
I mean, even
and then you have
now,
like, yeah, go ahead.
even now,
No,
like in League of Villains, you have cards like Cold Hostage. Those are
Yeah.
secret rare, and it's like $1, like in the market.
And then the
And then-
set immediately after it, right? You have that kind of idea of secret rares that go with kits again.
Yeah.
Because man, oh man, if you play on Majiki without Manifest, it's a very different game. If you play Mirio without Phantom Threat, it's a very different game. Repeated 100% smash in your punch decks without it, very different. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
Right.
I almost like disliked the kind of way that set 5 did it, because secret rares you get 1 per box, and there's 6 of them, and you have other ones in the same set. You have shield and whatever. It's the one with Fat Gum's face
Shield
on
and
it,
spear.
and that shield and spear. And I'm like, oh, this one's like unplayable. It's not unplayable, but it's like not good, right? And it felt like if you wanted to play Mirio, Midoriya, Amajiki at their highest level, it almost felt like you had to have those money cards to play them at a higher level. The reality is that you didn't, and there are other tools that can do things adjacently. Whereas when the secret rares, at least the way that it's feeling to me, are a little more generic, like the critical roles ones that you did highlight, right? The Earthbreakers, the Violent Anima Shots, the Mighty Blitzes. I don't feel like I need these for my decks to function at their highest level.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need them. I feel like I might be missing out. Like, man, I wish I had a 3 low for 5 stun 2 move. And you're like, well, I can give you a 3 mid for 5 stun 2 move, and it doesn't have the extra card pull stuff and the blitz effect. And you're like, well, I guess if I just needed a 5 difficulty 3 for 5 stun 2 move, I can find it somewhere else, probably on those symbols still. But if I want to find exactly what that card is doing, sure, yeah, then you want that card. And perception has told you that that card is good.
Let me change your mentality on money cards. We're going to go back to the Tamism that I don't like the word combo, and I like the word tactic. And instead of using the word card, I'm going to use my martial art term technique. A tactic will always beat a technique. 2 or more cards working in tandem together will always beat a singular card doing a thing. The issue that you have is how strong are the individual techniques by themselves when they don't find this tactic to work together. And that's where the idea of money cards is. Sometimes walk the dog, when you draw walk the dog and nothing else, and your rival tapped out and you've got 8 momentum, you just play walk the dog and you win the game. And if you're just looking for a 4 difficulty, 4 low, or 4 for 4 that draws you a card, it doesn't have powerful. Okay, that wasn't it. That one's blockable. If it does have powerful, it doesn't have 6 speed. If it does have 6 speed, it doesn't have powerful, and they're at 12, not at 6. And so, like,
if you needed to have the range keyword, like,
it doesn't have the range.
right?
There is a right tool for the job, but that doesn't mean that out of the other 5 cards that you have, you didn't find surprising skill or whatever the action is. We talked about it earlier, to give your thing powerful, right? And you planned for that because you know that you don't have walk the dog. And so you just spliced powerful 2 on whatever you needed. And now this 2 card tactic does the job of your money card until you save up the money and then you buy the 1 walk the dog and be like, I got my 1 copy, it'll matter. And I tailor my deck around it or whatever.
And you ready for what you just described? For every adjacency card that you did put in as a replacement, there's another benefit to be had with it. The thing that Tam just described. Well, this action card gives me momentum right now, and it could also give EX. It's versatile. It does a different thing. It's literally a different card. There are always wins and losses no matter what. And I don't normally like chat out what chat's saying, but like I do think Satonis, Tim Keefe in chat says actually makes a lot of sense here. The second best card can be 90% as good, or even just sideways relative to the expensive best card. But because of that 10%, it's valued significantly less by the public. But I would word that almost a little bit differently. Of like, well, how much is 10% more efficiency worth to you?
I was explaining this to somebody earlier today. They were talking about, in a slightly different idea, they have 6 zero diffs in their deck and they're running 4 twos. They're running 4 2 checks. And they go, I think I want to go up to 8 2 checks. Or 8 zero diffs, excuse me. And I went, well, hold your horses. Let's talk about it. I want you right now to play the game that you're playing with the amount of twos and zeros that you have, and write down how often you are playing out a 4-card, 3-card hand, and you're building successfully without checking the 2 on turn 1. And now add in a 7th zero diff and do that same, and play 50 games this way, writing with 6 zero diffs, 50 games with 7, 50 games with 8, and then extrapolate these numbers and be like, what's the percentage point that I have moved the needle? Because at some point, there's going to be diminishing returns of how many zero diffs I'm supposed to play in here. And this is coming from Tam Cardwell, the zero diff lover, right? There's diminishing returns. You feel that, and I'll use Tim's numbers here in chat, you feel that 10% when it matters, but when you scale your games out to 10,000 games being played, you won't feel that 10%. You'll feel the 90 where it matters. And you'll be like, oh,
I had a
90 is great.
I had a local player, and they were like, I really want to play the order symbol, but I don't want to dish out $100 for a place at a Botan's coachings. And I went, hey man, that's a real ass thing to say. Because this is a rare zero diff that you feel like you have to play because it's one of the more impactful zero diffs on order. And I went, and I told him, and I said, hey man, I know you're really hung up on the Botan's coaching thing. Can I maybe recommend that you play the exact deck that you have because you just didn't want to commit $100 to Botan's coaching? I said, can I literally just recommend that you play the exact deck that you have and replace the Botan's coachings with the Endeavor one, the zero diff?
Inferno.
One mana Inferno.
Thank you. Thank you. And he's like, okay, fine. Because I was like, you don't want to play this deck because Botan's coaching is in it. That's not the reason you built this deck. It was not because of fucking Botan's coaching. Build the deck that you built, play it, do the thing that you want to do, put in this common or whatever, and just give it a try. And he literally came back to me after a locals and he went, hey man, I think I'm going to keep this deck together because the one-man Inferno was actually better for me. And I go, wow. He's like, can you explain that to me? And he goes, well, in a scenario where it would have been a Botan's coaching, I would have given my opponent the best card that was on top of their deck, but I was just trying to cycle a card, basically, or whatever. And he goes, well, because it was a one-man Inferno, I actually got rid of that tool from my opponent's deck altogether. And it was repeatable. And I went, awesome, man. I think you learned something today. That you don't need $100 to play Universus.
So I guess
yeah.
I have one more point that I kind of gathered the answer from this conversation is, do these cards that we've been talking about like guide or steer the meta in a certain way? And I guess that goes off of like the perception of the community and all that. Like these cards, people value these cards because they're good, which makes them expensive. But does it guide how the meta shapes? Is what I'm trying to ask, I guess.
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, but there aren't answers. There aren't answers that you can't find, i.e. the deck list that we looked at previously, right? Daniel Osa and David Perez, right? Like if David had the option of, hey, here are 4 copies of Determined Advance, I don't know that he wouldn't shy away from it. And he'd be like, you know what? I actually want Determined Advance over the Massive Swing. The other idea could have been, for one of the first times ever, Massive Swing has made top cuts at a 4x in David Perez's Godzilla list, and he went, I value the 5 diff over checking a 3 on my turn 2, and Massive Swing was just a better card for me. Like, it does the same thing as this Determined Advance, but the difference in difficulty of 5 to 6 make or break all of my testing. So I don't want the Determined Advance. I will take the $2 Massive Swing instead. And so, like,
And there's a separate question to ask that. The winner of that event was Midoriya. What if Kevin had to go against Alex Gomez's deck instead? Because if there's one thing I'd tell you that's really good at helping kill a character that gives minus speed, is a card that its speed can't go below 6. Kevin didn't run into the Determined Advance Godzilla. That one got defeated by another Godzilla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different storyline, different story. Cards do different things in every matchup. Would David have had a better chance against Kevin's Midoriya deck if he had Determined Advance in it?
and
Maybe.
the answer is
There's a not.
yes.
We don't know.
We saw it literally this
Oh,
past weekend with
Yeah.
with Godzilla
Mhm.
winning, who had Determined Advance versus Midoriya. And there are some games where if I'm playing the evil symbol as Elder Togoro versus Godzilla, and you're playing nothing but 6 difficulties, when I check hack you with things like fighting for control, you're gonna wish it was a 5 diff, not a 6 diff. And so, like,
Wins in. Yeah. Pros and cons, every way.
what is the matchup that you have to fight? What do you think the room is going to look like? So on and so forth. The reason that Violent Image Shot is expensive right now is because a backup deck won a regional. The past couple regionals, we haven't had a backup deck win. I'm sure that card's going down in price.
So basically, it's all circumstantial. I mean, just
Yes.
has lots of factors.
There's 1,000 people who play this game, like, competitively, like in the world, right? Roughly. And everybody wants to be right about everything, and that includes card prices. This card is expensive because I think it's good. But in our game, because of the amount of agency that we have over the cards, right? Again, we are a draw X game, not a draw 1 game, where individual cards have to matter more. The techniques have to matter more in draw 1 games. Because I draw 6 fresh cards at the start of my turn, the individual techniques are allowed to be weaker because I can tactically use them together to make the sum of its parts not be greater than the whole. I can make the whole greater.
In the same idea, these perceptions change every day, every event, every week, every time a card is revealed on the internet, right? Or a new set or whatever. And I'll call it back to, we talked about Bass Hybrid Chimera Kraken. You said $15, Tam?
Mhm.
You know what other card is $15 from that same set?
Hit me.
A card that used to be $100.
Sure. Exclamation point.
Repeated
$100 bills.
100% smash. Used to be $100. That's the meme. You can buy them now for 15 a pop. Actually, shout out to Rochester CCG. You can buy 4 of them for $16.80 a piece with $5 shipping. So, these prices that these cards are right now, they're not going to stay that way. This talks about card market and, supply and demand, and yes, what does well recently and what comes out to further support something, what support drops off. The answer with repeated is stop printing punches on those symbols, the card dies off, right? So because of people and their perceived value. But then at the same time, we literally just saw people playing it this weekend as, I'm just going to treat this as a 4-diff because it readies at least one thing. And it had success. It was a good card. It was powerful. $15. Now, if they spent $100 on them back when it came out, they lost a lot of value. But if it helped them get a top cut appearance at an event, then I guess they did okay. They had a
Good
return
work.
on their investment on competitively wise. But it's constantly changing, and you're right. It's going to always change, and you have to be a psychic to know whether or not just because a card is worth a lot, is it actually like a must-have? And I think the reality is that for most of the time on that answer, the answer is it's not a must-have. It's a how much do you wager that perceived value change when you buy the quote-unquote best perceived piece versus its second place counterpart.
Skins, how do you feel now after the conversation? What are your thoughts? Closing final thoughts.
I feel better about not having to have money cards because I didn't I honestly didn't do my research, and I didn't see the David Perez and Daniel Osa decks. Like the differences in that in between a single placing is wild to me actually.
And
Like
we didn't
you
even talk
have
about the fourth place list. Fourth place list, his deck decked out because he had 4 Walk the Dogs, 4 Determined Advance, and the guy that didn't play any of those got better than him, like a better placement.
yeah.
Like third place, fourth place, they both got eliminated at the same time. I get it, but like,
Yeah, there's just a lot of factors that go into winning or performing well, and card value, perceived value, and I kind of got a better understanding of what I'm looking for when I'm building a deck, what I actually need versus what would be nice, um, and if it would even help me. So thanks for that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Then we've done our job.
It just I needed something to give me perspective is what I really needed, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
and
Listen,
that's all we're here for.
I had this exact same thing. I mean, it's funny to talk about him. I was kind of down in the dumps a little bit when it came to Universus as a whole. I needed to talk to Kevin, and I sat on a conversation with him for about an hour. And he like kind of like, I've used this expression a lot on stream, turned my cat around a little bit about the game, and I'm having significantly more fun with it now than I have like in the past 6 months of like all it took was like a positive reinforcement, a conversation with a prolific player who actually gives a shit to change my enjoyment entirely. So I'm happy that we got to do that for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
With
Good on
that,
plan.
we have more questions to get to. If you want your question here on the channel, the best way to do so is by joining the Discord, opening up an Ask Tam a Question ticket in the Discord, and popping on in. The other way that you can do it is over on Twitch itself. I don't have a link to YouTube quite yet. You can spend your channel points, pull that up, but we will be prioritizing the Discord questions rather than the YouTube questions, just like my good friend Iggy, who has asked us a very poignant, time-sensitive, thumbnail-grabbing question, which I am excited to talk about with my good buddy, Bear Brian. Iggy, hit me with your question.
Okay, so with the article that was released today, and I know you mentioned this a little bit in your video, but I would like to hear a lot of perspective on this. With Roman Cancel being confirmed for Guilty Gear, do you think that this will allow for playstyles that we have not seen recent meta play? For example, where a lot of the top decks are now highly aggressive, there might be a little bit of mid range, but not much. So things like Pony, things like Godzilla, even if they're not necessarily killing turn 2 or 3, they're still killing you very hard and very fast. Do you think Roman Cancel is going to allow decks with slower game plans, whether those be control, more mid-range, or even things that plan to kill you maybe turn 4 on? Do you think Roman Cancel will allow for those decks and playstyles to have enough competitive edge to compete toe-to-toe with what is currently dominating the current meta?
I'll answer first because I haven't been playing with these cards for the better part of a year. And I've only seen 8 of them, unlike my co-host, who's seen all of them and can tell you in a tier list which ones are the best and which ones are the worst. So, with that, alliteration gave me that is hurtful. That sucks. That's a very funny comment, but ouch my soul.
Hell yeah.
I think my answer is yes. I think it is yes. And here's why. I think that things like Decoy Duplicate and Broken Psyche go up way higher in value with this ability active. Not necessarily just because of the ability on the Roman Cancel itself. I believe it is purple that is the response to put something back to 3. Why would I spend quote unquote 2 momentum to do that when I can do it with a Broken Psyche for 1? And so now, back whenever I had to work really hard to get my momentum for my cool defensive tricks, I now no longer have to work really hard to get my momentum, but I just have to realize that it is a fleeting momentum. It will be leaving and dying. If that makes sense. So you got to use it before you lose it, specifically defensively. I think that there's a high chance that high impact defensive abilities do come back to the game, but it is all going to be dependent on what do people value. Are they going to spend that momentum defensively, or am I going to spend that momentum on EX powerful Echo and just try and kill your ass? Right? Like the pendulum could easily swing the other way, but because of how open-ended Roman cancels are, because we've seen a bunch of commons and uncommons. I think we've seen literally 4 cards that do this, right? Of just like, I'm going to get a momentum for free, and then I can figure out what I get to do with it. There's the question is holy cow, 4 cards out of the 80 cards we have look sick to just steal a momentum, but those cards are not like writing home about. Like they're neat. There's one card that I think would be considered meta relevant in like Godzilla, the 5 diff that says if you have 2 momentum, it gets +3 damage. But even as a 5 diff opener, snag momentum is like, that's good enough. Godzilla's not going to wait for that momentum, right?
True.
Like, he's just going to spend the cash. He's an addict, and so like, does it slow down? Maybe. Does it have a chance to? I think more than ever. Bear?
Yeah, I mean, do I think Roman Cancel will allow for playstyles that have not seen recent meta play? Yeah, sure. I think with a new set, there are plenty of strategies that are revisited and elaborated on. I think of how Hawks has seen almost 0 play when Ryan Levine stopped playing it after Focus Attack rotated. And it took him almost all the way into the end of the year to bring it back out because it got new tools, it got new strategies, it got new things. And I think the biggest thing that when you look at the tension keyword, or sorry, the tension ability, and the way that Roman Cancel works, and how it can be this multi-use, different. There's a bunch of things you can do with it, right? And like Tam said, you have to use it before you lose it. I think obviously the big shock value is that it is an attack. Like we just talked about Determined Advance a lot in the last question. And when you look at tension, you're like, oh, it's Determined Advance on every attack, right? Added, but also more, but also less, question mark, right? So it's a bunch of stuff because like Determined Advance, I would say, is good because it has a bunch of other things on it. It has EX on it. It can never go below 6/6, et cetera, et cetera. That's why it's a 6 diff, right? That's why it's an ultra rare. Meanwhile, the card you get from the Determined Advance is random. This one, you know what you're getting, and it has text on it. So like, momentum with text is cool. I played Amajiki. I like Amajiki. I like it when my momentum is an extra, stage per se. But there's that idea of, I agree that, and the biggest point I'm trying to get off here is because I'm just rambling. Tension as a keyword and the Roman Cancel token and how it functions it redefines the perceived value of what a momentum is and what you can do with it, which some people would believe is a sacred cow of Universus.
God, our game's not even safe to inflation. That's crazy. I'm supposed to play these games to escape reality, not a.
I think no. I didn't say it makes it better. I think it just changed the perception because I think if everything what you said, Tam, is true, cards like Broken Psyche go way up because I can play an attack that even if it didn't land, I got a momentum. If it did land, I got a 2-for-1.
I think that's actually the crazy thing. I think Roman Cancel, what it's going to do is it's going to force my rivals to actually respect my attacks, because like when I play a Roman Cancel and it's a little shitter, it's like a 4-for-4 or whatever, and they let it hit, I have the Roman Cancel in my momentum, and now this card is going to go to my momentum to activate purple, and so it's just like the orange flashes are going to happen and be like, ah shit, if I want one of my moves to matter, I need to not let this thing hit me.
And it goes another direction, right? It goes the direction of, like what Tam said, on these defensive momentum spenders, right? We know what it looks like when you have a repeatable momentum defensive piece, which is vertical maneuvering equipment, and that card got banned. So like that was a repeatable. I have a bunch of momentum. This is what I can do with it. But the thing about the Roman cancels in your momentum is, if I sat across a VME deck and it was like, let's say it's Mitchell Chimino. I sat across Mitchell Chimino with a VME on board, and they got 4 momentum, and you go, wow, this feels like an impossible hill to climb up. Meanwhile, if I went into my turn and 2 of your momentum are Roman cancels and 2 of them are the attacks that you hit me with because of the Roman cancels, and let's say you have VME, I go, wow, that's a pretty scary thing to stare across, because it's not just the VME. I also have to think about the strong defensive ability on the Roman cancel you have access to. Wow, that's going to be really hard. So if I just built 3 paths, how does the game state change versus that first deck versus the second deck? It changes a lot, because the Roman cancels disappear. But in that first scenario, those 4 momentum and the VME are still going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Wow. I didn't even think about that. Build and pass is going to be legitimate play
100%.
with Roman cancel.
If you're specifically afraid of that defensive, very powerful one, right? Which I think a lot of people are looking at, because people like strong defensive tools when they're trying to figure out how to break through those walls. But I mean, also the reality is like, if you got 2 Roman cancels and you got 2 more momentum, okay, awesome. You can only use the purple once. Like I don't have to fight through it twice. It's cool that you got double Roman cancel. I'm so happy for you. But like, you should have used one, because only one of those abilities can be used. But it is still a momentum. So if you have a broken psyche, decoy, whatever, insert the things that Tam was just saying. My favorite one is the Rinku one, childlike appearance. I like that one a lot.
That one's huge.
That's a great defensive momentum.
That's for sure
spender.
coming back. That's for sure. Put
That
your
card-
seat at speed to 0.
I think that
block
card's
your
great.
shit. Oof.
So
You know, that was a card I even cut out of my deck list in Toronto, because I was like, okay, sure, I could run this as another defensive piece when I already have a bunch of other defensive pieces. What makes this better than the defensive pieces I'm running? It's like, I'd rather use my momentum towards something else. But you've made the good point now, where if I have this temporary momentum and I'm already deciding to save it for a defensive option, why don't I just spend it on that instead of, paying 2 momentum for the same thing?
Yeah, so it very much depends, right? And I think there's the other side of that coin. If you're the defensive deck and you put in the Roman cancels and you're going to use purple and you're going to put in all these other defensive momentum spenders like the broken psyches we talked about, your deck still has its flaws, right? If you're going to rely on these on-stage answers, the problem with broken psyche was that, well, it would get committed and frozen by a vast hybrid and I don't have a defense anymore, or whatever. Or if you found a way to discard your opponent's momentum, it had meaningful effects, right? It had a meaningful value. I think the biggest thing right now is that nobody plays momentum hate right now.
Yep.
And I think this mechanic will kind of open some eye holes a little bit, because Radiant Visage is a very fine card.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Maybe we wouldn't have as much Godzilla if people were playing more momentum hate.
Maybe. And so now there's this idea of like, another tactic where momentum is easier to get a hold of because of the way that tension works. But there's still a deck building cost to it, right? Like I will specifically bring up the article, because I know a lot of people were talking, right? Obviously, we can talk about Godzilla. And there is a 5 difficulty Earth attuned 4 high for 5 tension attack on here, right? And in Godzilla, this is a 4 high for 8 that generated you a momentum immediately that you may spend for your Godzilla things, or you may do other stuff with because it has text on it. And you gave it 3 damage because it's a 5 diff. And the Blitz ability, I'll be honest, if you had 2 or more momentum going into this attack, you're probably already winning the turn, because Godzilla spends it as he gets it typically.
Yeah.
So the Splits ability to me is a little blank in Godzilla. And is this attack any better than you have playing either the Determined Advance or the Massive Swing? I don't know. I don't think so. Unless you really value the text on the Roman cancel, but it's not a permanent momentum. And I say in the idea, I brought it up earlier, well, you can always just build pass or whatever. And if you're the defensive deck that's trying to use Roman cancel for their defensive abilities, you did your job. You survived another turn. You deterred your opponent so much because of what you had access to in that moment by playing the tension attacks and getting the Roman cancel tokens. You did the thing you wanted to do. You wanted to live an extra turn. because your opponent didn't find enough stuff to break through that wall. Awesome, great. That doesn't mean that the aggro decks, just like Tam said, aren't also going to have access to these tools. And you chose to play your tension attacks and Roman cancels defensively, and your opponent built paths to play around it. And then the next turn, if they play their tension attacks with Roman cancels, they can just go out swinging.
Yeah, they're gonna
So
kill
like,
your
there's a
ass.
cost of exchange here of you did this with yours, aka you lost them, but you
Mhm.
presented a threat, and your opponent might just gotta full send it and sling them. That's just Universus, an exchange of resources, right? And so I get that I know it's a shock value. Obviously, it's the
Yeah.
first day. Everyone's gonna talk about it, and I love it. But like, I mean, I wasn't joking when I said last week that like Guilty Gear is one of my favorite products of this year because I think the way that it just shakes things up is really cool and fun and interesting. And I know some people don't like it. It is what it is. But I also just think like thematically to the game, it's very cool. And I don't play Guilty Gear, but I learned a lot. So I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to see what people do with it. I don't know. JC, who's the writer of the article, huge shout outs to him. He is one of my favorite newer acquisitions on the design team. At least in regards, obviously, of like when design for this product started and stuff like that. And like, wow, I think he is one of the most intelligent human beings I've ever met in my entire life.
I can't wait to meet him in
And I
Atlanta.
love what I love what he's made. I love what he's made, to be honest.
We should
And
get
I'm
him to
excited
Atlanta.
to see what people do. What's that?
You should make him go to Atlanta. You should put that bug in his ear.
That's I don't know. If
I wanna
that's
shake
what
his
they're doing,
hand.
but that's fine. But I mean, he's a great guy. So it's just like I used the term earlier. I'll just repeat it as I end my thoughts. This shifts the perceived value and how to acquire momentum. That's something that has changed over the course of the game, like a lot. Not in the ideas of like how you get it, right? Oh, you have to deal damage with an attack or play an ability that does it for you. Awesome. This is now a keyword that we've seen on multiple symbols that is very fast acceleration of momentum. Typically, that is not how the game has looked recently. And I would even say that like cards that do give you a lot of momentum, aside from certain deck archetypes like Godzilla, aren't necessarily like the reason people are winning games. The backup deck plays off of zero momentum. Right?
Yo, imagine the backup deck now,
Yeah.
like getting to like play a relevant backup, a relevant tension, and then protect their cool combo piece with
Yeah.
incredible display.
Or,
Yeah.
sorry, pause.
Pausing.
I was agreeing. I was agreeing.
Pausing. Pausing for Barrett. He's reading.
Just reading.
We've got
Sorry.
a reader.
I was just looking.
Yeah.
And you know what I wish would happen, and I say this because like we had to spend a lot of time on this mechanic, obviously.
because
I
I think it's gonna change the meta in a way that we've not seen recently.
No, it's just I mean, it obviously based off of the shock value of day one. Obviously, we had to spend a lot of time on it because there's a lot of things that could go wrong, right? And I love to think like of a world where I'm allowed to talk about like how this mechanic ended up where it ended up and talked about like what the versions of it beforehand and stuff like that. It was so fun. I had so much fun doing it, and I'm excited with it. I'm so excited to see what the people do with this mechanic. I'm glad to see that people are excited to talk about it. And it's only a mini set, right? It's a blitz booster. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
Isn't that so cool?
I actually the thing that I'm most disappointed about it is that it is so Guilty Gear locked that we're gonna need another set of Guilty Gear to see tension again. If the token wasn't named Roman Cancel and was named something else, something a little more agnostic, I could see random tensions coming up in the future, but there's just like no way. And
I think there's also another
really excited for
population
it.
of players that are like, well, maybe it should only be a small amount. You know,
Boo.
I think that's also
They hate
I
fun.
think that's also a conversation that people can have, right? You know, I gotta play
Yeah.
both sides.
Momentum is
I think the
dope.
people that are afraid about what this change does and the perceived value of a momentum, right? Maybe it's
Mhm.
better that it's in a smaller set. Maybe it's better that it's locked and or it appears in Guilty Gear and who knows when you see it again, right? I think there's two sides to that conversation, obviously, right? But I want to turn it back to Iggy because I've talked a lot, obviously.
Mhm.
I
You've
mean,
uh,
your own question. I mean, I ask you, you
Mhm.
know, like, have you already been thinking about decks that aren't seeing recent meta play that,
Mhm.
man, if they printed a tension attack on this symbol, what could it do for X, Y, or Z character? Have you already been like thinking about that?
Yeah, one of the first things I thought of immediately when I saw the one that reduces an attack to 3 damage unblocked when you decide not to block it is Grog turns that into 1 damage just on face,
That's sick.
which I thought was great, and I was like, okay, so yes, I can do that. But the other hand is I have to have the 2 momentum. Tension obviously generates one of them, but I already have to either have a pre-existing momentum or I have to now have my attack hit to generate the momentum without it being, flipped or cleared or whatever that my opponent could possibly do to it. So it's giving me hope that I could potentially say, okay, because Grog's been a character I've been wanting to make and run for a while now. Okay, can this actually, do what I want it to do, where it can take crazy hits, take little damage, and still be able to dish out the damage needed to, like, let's say, kill a Byakuya or kill Godzilla, even if that's not in the course of one turn. And I think now it's going to be seeing, okay, what haven't I really considered before for this character that this is now allowing me to do? And you've also given me some really perspective on this, because now I also have to consider, okay, now these big scary attacks that, sorry, these big scary decks that, are the threats in the meta, at least from my perspective. I know not everyone agrees what is a threat or what isn't, but let's say what the decks that were top 8 in Toronto. Okay, now what can these do now with this mechanic added in, and is it worth it for these decks to run it? Like, okay, great, I can stop Deku from one-shotting me with a one-punch man combo, but now he can also do the same because I can't kill him in one turn anymore. And it's like, okay, and then what else is he going to be able to do with the other options? And so it's given me a lot to think about. And there's only 6 cards out of the set revealed. And just the fact that the mechanic alone is causing me to have like conniptions over this is great.
I think that is an interesting way to look at it, right? As well, it's like, but like I even raised you the other question, like I get that these are uncommons, but it's like
Mhm.
The Midoriya playing his own version of tension attacks, right? I think that's valid.
Mhm.
But like, how much does that hurt that deck and
Yeah.
its game plan on what it's been doing, at least in the format, more so than how much it might elevate or level up these other decks that didn't have access to these tools adjacently, right? But you have to
Mhm.
also think it's like, but when I look at some of these attacks and I go, so like throw Servant, for example, if
Mhm.
I'm on the water symbol, the blitz ability could be very blank for me if I'm not
Mhm.
playing ally cards. And even then it's a 4 diff 3 for 3, like that's pretty understated. When you also like scroll up, right, and there's the other 4
Mhm.
diff chaos one that's a 2 mid for 4. It might be a 4 mid for 4 or a 2 mid for 6 or it drew you a card. Sure, you don't really know. But like I mean they're pretty understated, right? I mean the
Mhm.
idea is that I think this momentum that it's giving you is a there's a cost to it, which is
Mhm.
the tension attacks themselves are probably not the ones that are killing you, right?
True.
Unless you can find a character to do it. Like the number one character that I looked at when I saw this was not the Brave Chaotic Meddler. In hands,
Yeah.
your attack
Ooh.
gets 1 X speed, X equals your momentum plus 1. If on the turn I'm trying to pop off, I play 4 tension attacks and get +5, get scaling speed the whole time. I have a Roman cancel for 1, Not's response for another to use that momentum defensively. I'm in, right? And
Perfect.
what
And then you
happens
go. A
when Chaotic
character that
Meddler
was near unplayable becomes playable.
actually gets playable because of this new idea? And so the answer is yeah, I think there's a ton, right?
Mhm.
Someone in chat said Annie 2 is going to be shifting a ton faster. Yeah, that character's
Yeah.
Yeah.
super momentum hungry. And
God, and my
And
friend
she
plays a
has
deck that does
chaos.
fast anyways. Yeah, she's on the chaos momentum symbol. know,
But
she
is,
does it.
Yeah.
She's not doing what Godzilla does.
Yeah.
And Godzilla himself doesn't even get momentum on phase, right? He
Mhm.
has to play the moves to do it. So yeah, I do think it was going to open up a lot of different play styles and things like that. And just like that, and like you said earlier, while also incidentally creating a world where if Midori is the best deck in the room, because you've committed to playing some of these tension cards, you have another avenue that the Midoriya deck has to worry about and play around now, not including the other stuff you might have already been playing.
Mhm.
The world is your oyster.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, at this point, I want it to be November already so I can find out what the rest of the set is.
Damn right.
And but just even though the attacks we've seen so far are all uncommons, for uncommons, they feel impactful in ways that some of the stuff from TMNT, for example, just didn't quite have. Like, even if it's mostly the tension making it as impactful, I mean, I think just that alone makes them worth running over some of the other attacks that have been introduced in the game recently. And I don't have anything specific. This is just me going off my general remembrance of what some of those uncommons did. But
Can I jump
I ha-
to my last point? Go back and look at Heaven or Hell.
Mhm.
3
It changes
5
your perspective.
2
of the
mid block,
card, right?
E sacrifice, choose one. If you added 2 or more momentum this turn, choose both instead. Everybody is going to be able to do this. Mill 5, it gets 1/1 for each attack. Mill this way, reveal a card from your hand, add a copy of the revealed card from your discard pile to your hand. Hey, I revealed a tension card, I'm going to go add a tension card. Did you know that Heaven or Hell is not unique?
Oh,
Yeah, man, I'm just
okay.
I'm gonna play tension after tension.
You
after,
just
and
blew
you're-
my mind.
And like this ultra rare is now like you go, oh, I have to figure out the puzzle to how do I get 2 momentum? That seems impossible. And you go, nah, tension baby. we're slinging attacks. I'm in for it. Let's rock.
I'm gonna hit you.
I'm in. This is so sick.
I don't know if today is the day I should bring this one up, but I'm gonna hit you with another one. Okay.
Okay.
Last one, Barry, and then we got
it.
one more. Two more questions, and then we're done.
I have to go find this attack because I always forget the name of it.
Iggy, you do your final sign outs now, and then we'll have Barrett do his thing, and then I'll kick you from the call.
Yeah, Roman Cancel seems really cool. I hope it shakes things up. I think Buffalo is going to be one heck of a regional tournament.
For people that enjoy using their momentum as a toolbox, I will also bring up Roman Cancel plus Kinetic Air Cannon. That's the last one I'll talk about.
Kinetic Air Cannon.
Because there's this cool idea now where you can have this nebulous momentum and you can turn it into a real one.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Now that means you have to play cards like Kinetic Air Cannon, which I haven't seen play.
That's
okay.
But the idea is there, right? The idea is if you are a person that likes, I don't know, like Dark Tournament Looms or something like that, where your momentum becomes like a secondary hand of some sorts. It's a cool idea to think about, of course. That's the last thing I wanted to say, but I'm very excited for it. And the last little thing I'll say as we say goodbye, but it is a fun thing to always talk about, is sealed for this was very fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lenoco has already been talking about how every single case of this he buys is going to be for sealed use only. And I'm definitely looking forward to drafting it with him.
It's a good time. It's a good time. But thank you for your question, man. Always cool to have people get excited for the new stuff coming out.
Bye.
Right, thanks for humoring me. Bye.
Okay, that was fun. Love talking about it. We have 2 more questions, and I want to kind of rip through them because you are at an hour and a half. This next one I promised you would be on, and then I forgot that I promised last week. Our washed up has been double back-to-back champion Drew had a question, but that one's going to be a quick one. So, fan of the show, mod of the channel, I have Misplay LLC coming in to spew a question for us. What is up with it?
Yo. When it comes to events, outside of playing the card game, what are some of the favorite things, like things that just happen? Because in my personal experience, every time I go to an event, I'm honestly more excited just to hang out with everybody outside of the card.
This is a dope question. This is a question not about the card game, which
Yeah.
I think is sick.
That's good.
Bear, what do
I've
you
cheated the
do
system.
hanging out at events, man? What do you do?
I don't know. I kind of go all over. Obviously, I do still go to events. I don't play, obviously. But I do a lot of yapping, that's for sure. So I think that's exactly a good point of what you say. I mean, like, I'm very blessed that my current employers not only give me the job that I currently have that pays for the roof over my head, but they still allow me to be a part of the commentary and broadcast team. That is something they did not have to do. And because of that, when I do still get to go to events, it's great because I've made a lot of friends, and I know there's a lot of people that know me, not just from content, but also from commentating and also for working for the company now and being a former competitive player. So obviously, I was initially very sad when I was told that I was not allowed to be able to play competitively anymore. Because I mean, you're basically just telling me like there's not a real reason to go to these events anymore. Well, now I found another reason, which isn't just the commentary, right? It's to still see the people that all share this love for this game that we all really enjoy, which is awesome. And that's honestly like good enough as its own. I think there's even a world where like if I had a little bit more money and more time to, time to spare, even the events I wasn't commentating, I'd love to just be there and, do the gunslinging thing like my coworkers do, you know. And I think it is still very important because I think our players are very passionate. They have a lot to say, and they're not afraid to tell you what's on their mind, but they're also still considerate about it. I mean, I'll be, sometimes when I lurk onto Discord, a little behind the curtain, sometimes I get a little sad. Sometimes I get a little sad reading because people in our game are very passionate about what they feel. But I'm tough enough, so it is what it is. And it all makes up for itself because when I go to these events and I hang out with the people that I love and the people that I know, and even the people I just meet, or because I'm terrible with names, they go, "Oh, I met you at the last event," and you go, "Ah, shit, I don't remember." But at the same time, like it gives me a time to explore new cities and see things not just by myself, but with other people that also traveled to these events. There's some events where every single night I go out for a night on the town and I don't get back until 4 a.m. and I got to wake up the next morning at 9 a.m. and get in front of the camera. And those nights and times are just as fun as first day of Swiss is over. We all hang out in the hotel lobby and we just play card games. It doesn't have to be Universus. Or it could be board games with Tim Keefe and Garrett Brett. And
Yeah.
it's just like you all are here already because of the mutual respect that you have for each other, which is competitive card game players, people dedicated to the craft, people that are here to flex, but you have this like camaraderie and this respect for those people as well of just like, hey, I know I didn't do well this event or you didn't do well this event. Who cares? We all gave it our best shot. The person who's going to win it is going to deserve it. Let's still flex our mental fortitude against each other, but in a fun way instead of a competitive way. And you just don't really get that. When I was in baseball, you don't really get that. It was you're on the field, you're playing baseball. The winner goes home as the winner, and you may be friends with somebody on the team, but because you're dedicated to your team and you're trying to perform, you don't ever rarely play with those people on the other team for fun. You have some scrimmage games, sure, but like,
I mean, I feel the same way whenever I went to like regionals and nationals for other card games, i.e. Yu-Gi-Oh. I went to Yu-Gi-Oh events and I hung out with the people I came with, and that was it, which is totally chill. But there was never a, hey, there's another group of individuals, let's go join their table and go play their board game. That got you beat up in a Denny's parking lot. Like that's just not happening. But like our card game is different. If there's people out playing Commander in the lobby or playing some board game or whatever, it's basically an open invitation. Hey, don't be a weirdo. Come play the games and enjoy yourselves. It's an open invitation, which I think is like a big deal. I think the other big thing is like there are so many dinners and group invites like people like
So many.
go to Korean barbecue or sushi or regular like, and they'll be like, "Hey, we're rolling 12 deep. You three, you want to make it 15?" And that's that certainly happens all the time at events, all the time.
Even Josh Massey right now, he brings his God. What's the name of that game? The freaking math, the number one.
There's a lot of games with numbers.
You know what I'm talking about, Tam.
I
He
do know what
literally
you're
brought
talking
it out
about.
in Louisville. Someone's gonna say in the chat. Anyway, Josh Massey brings this little dinky party game, board game, whatever, and there's no maximum amount of players that can play this game, guys. So
That's
I'm
insane.
not joking. When he like shows up, he whips it out at the end of the Swiss day or Top Cut day, and he goes, "All right, who wants in?" And like I sat down at a table with 20 Universus fans,
Yeah.
and we played this stupid game about numbers of just like you like take one, but like if you double up on a number, you're out for the round. Flip 7. Thank you,
Flip
Tim.
7.
Flip 7.
Yes.
And you sit here, you play Flip 7, and because there's fucking 20 of you, it takes forever. But you're laughing and joking, and I'm sitting next to Brian Brown, and I fucking love that guy. And when we're not working, he is so fucking fun to hang out with. And even when we are working, he's fun to hang out with. But I'm cracking jokes with the Rochester guys. I'm laughing at giggles because he's having like mental anguish on whether or not he's supposed to take another card. And it's just like people already express themselves and their personalities, not just for like when they play card games and how they deck build and the kind of player they are. But then like you see them and you're like, man, that's exactly the kind of shit that Giggles would do playing not Universus or in the real life, because the reality is at the end of the weekend, we all go home back to our normal lives. And you still will never forget those friendships and those people that you've met. And when you go to the next event, you're so excited not just to play the game, but to hang out and do another weirdo thing with those people, and have a blast. Because he's in chat, but like when we went to the St. Louis regional or whatever last year, I went to a baseball game with Tim Keefe and Garrett Brett, and I didn't give two shits about the teams that were playing. The people in that stadium did though, because it was a real rivalry. But man, I just had a fucking great time, and we didn't talk about card games barely at all. We did a little bit because we're fucking nerds. But we talked about baseball, and we had a good time, and we just talked about, other things that are going on in our lives. And it's just like I'll never forget that, because those are the bonds that you make. We started as card game players, and that's how we met. And the first time I met Tim Keefe is because we were fighting it out, and he beat my fucking ass, because I was a wee lad. And then you've grown and shared so many experiences now with these people, this community, that they're not just a rival or someone you look up to anymore.
Yeah.
Jeremy Ray, when I first joined, was a rival, a someone I looked up to. I put him on my champ card, for God's sakes. And now he's my coworker. And it's not just about him being a mentor for me in the card game. Now he's a mentor for me in my job. And it's just like, I would have never been given this opportunity and met these people had I not taken the jump and gone to my first Universus event, gone to my first card game event, gone to my first whatever event. And Universus is so cool because it is like what Tam said. It's not like other card games where you just sit with your group that you came with, which you are more than happy to do. But there's always someone there that's willing to invite you in and be a part of the community, because that's how we all got here.
That's why most of us stay.
It is why most of us stay.
I don't even play this game, guys.
Yeah.
That's true. You'll
Are you
show
going
up
to
to
Atlanta?
judge, and you'll be like,
I'm not going to Atlanta. I'm probably not doing any other events until end of the year, which is kind of why. I'm sorry, man. I need money for other things right now.
Yeah, I get it.
but I think, but Misplay, what you're saying right now is exactly the reality of it.
Yeah.
It's okay to have that FOMO, because like at the end of the day, like this is our hobby, guys. This is what we do for fun.
Exactly. We don't get to play for money, guys. We
That's
can sell our card. You can sell the stuff
true.
you can sell the
That's
stuff you win if you do
true.
well. but we don't actually play for money.
I mean, whatever
We
you
play
value
for
cards
money.
at, right?
That's what I'm saying. You
Whatever
can
value.
sell winnings, but we don't play for hard cash.
Yeah. But I think the idea is that it's like, man, like, and here, you ready? I'll go all the way back. When I used to work at a restaurant, I had to use my vacation time to come and play card games. Because at least in the service industry, like it's not a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, right? Like I didn't have to take 1 day off of work or 2 days off of work. No, I had to take 4 fucking days off of work or request them off or whatever. And everyone's life is different. Everyone has a different job. Everyone has different circumstances, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to spend my time off that I earned working hours and hours and hours of work to come do this thing because it was not just about playing, it was about the people that were there. It was like a vacation every single time. Every single time it was like a vacation because I
That's what
knew
events
no
are.
matter no matter what I was going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Whether
Oh,
I
yeah.
won or lost.
Misplay, final thoughts before we get to our last question of the night.
No, it's like I think we hit it. This is kind of how I thought the question would go. I felt like it was
Feels
going to
good?
be it was going to be a feels good question. Obviously, it was a question I asked and kind of knew the answer to just from personal experience, but I feel like asking it and just getting it out there for other people to like hear. Like I would hate for someone to like be hesitant about going to an event just because they think that they're not good enough at the card game yet for it. Because there's so much more to these events than just playing the card game.
Yeah.
Like
And I
your
think-
best memories are going to be off at the table.
And I wish that even us as broadcasters, we did a better job at like showing that on the stream. Because a lot of the times it feels like the best that we can to like do that is just like talking about it behind the camera, and then like showing as much as we can from like photos that they take or videos or
Mhm.
getting some interviews, obviously. But like, I mean, the reality is like everything that we're talking about right now is not what goes on stream, right? So like the FOMO that people would have like is strictly from like what they see of the actual event, and man, that is like that's just the cream that rose to the top, right? Like, it wasn't actually the full thing.
Well, yeah.
Final thoughts, Misplay, before I
Real-
kick your ass.
That's pretty much it. Real quick though, slightly off topic. Are y'all going to Worlds? Do y'all know yet?
I will be there regardless if I'm casting or not.
I will be
Okay.
there regardless if I'm casting or working.
Okay, I'm just trying. It's close for me, so I will be at that if there's enough people there for me to go see.
Yeah, for sure.
There you go.
We'll see you
And
there.
Dallas is fun.
Dallas is it's Grapevine, but it's Dallas suburb. Yeah.
Some of
It'll
those
be good.
some of those late nights I was talking about though was definitely nationals last year, and boy howdy,
In
I was out till
Dallas.
4 a.m.
Well, yeah. Y'all don't have to kick me. I'll leave on my own regards. Y'all have a good rest of the
Bye.
day.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
All right. Kicked his head. Fucking got him. Thank you all for hanging out. We've got one last question, and I think it's going to be a quick one because our two-time back-to-back regional champ last week in Twitch chat, a way that you can get your question asked a very simple one, but I think it's simple, but it might be a little more. And the answer is, Barrett, do attack zones matter? And the way that he questioned this was literally, do you think zones, high, mid, low, matter anymore?
I mean, yeah, sure. Yeah,
I also think so.
I think they matter. Did Andrew think they didn't?
This is why, ladies and gentlemen, I want you on the show. Because it would be cool for him to defend himself and talk about it. But like trying to get into his mindset of like attack zones not mattering, it feels like there's enough zone changing out of the new TMNT set. You can make from low to high, change this thing to a low, change this thing to a high. Partial blocking has some relevant abilities, especially with things like on block tricks of like showdown, Ares, smile, things like that. I guess like that's the only thing that I could maybe think of, but there's this world of like back a while ago, like low attacks didn't matter, right? And like or the low block zones didn't matter because nobody's playing low attacks, but
Sure.
I played a double gen deck today that like I melted somebody because they were just like, oh, they're all lows, huh? I don't have many of those in my deck, and I went, yeah, yeah, they're all lows. Sorry, dude. It's like,
We just saw this happen. I mean, literally go watch Calvin Tahan's regional win. Like, it's just like there is always a chance in our game because sometimes your opponent just doesn't have the right zones. The cards that they want in their stage have so much more value to them in a given scenario. It's something that we don't always actively think about. It's something that we kind of take for granted sometimes, but it's like I'll go back to Corey Nelson, like playing against Calvin Tahan, and there was a turn where we built a Defiant stance that didn't actually do anything for us, and that was another high block we could have had, and we died to a bunch of highs.
yeah,
We showed our hand and we're like, yeah, man, I die on the half. It's over. Like, absolutely zones matter. Like, especially when you're the deck that's trying to do the blocking, right? I'd also say on the other side, there's a reason why in that deck it's even that's the infinite potential deck. You know, like it's playing one of these cards that we just talked about. Make a thing to high, doing the cool block trick of Ares Smiles. Awesome. If I did, and I'm not saying you should because I don't think it's a good idea. If I did play a deck of all mono lows, I'm only ever going to get Ares Smiles the amount of times they build infinite potential. That's a meaningful choice to have in your deck building process when thinking about a strong deck in the format like that one. If my deck dies to Showdown or struggles against Showdown, maybe when you start thinking about the lead attacks that you prefer to play in your deck, don't let them be the high zoned ones. Make your opponent, like, at least if you're going to Ares Smile or Showdown me, I'm going to make sure you take half from this Attack Titan Haymaker or something, instead of me saying it was a Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken, right? Like, there's a real choice. I get those are way different symbols. I get it. But even in that same conversation, man, is Attack Titan Haymaker actually the right play when you maybe could play something like an Earthbreaker on a different symbol? You know, like an Earthbreaker is a great lead-in stun move that gives you value later that can't get Ares Smiles and can't get Showdowned. It can't get Rising Uppercutted. We're talking about a lot of high stuff, but like those are the stuff that's seeing play right now.
there also, I mean, there aren't very many low block tricks, right? There's like
Yeah,
a
I would agree with that.
singular one, and it's like clear your card pool, draw a card, or something like that. Like it's in the same set as Showdown. It's the Earth, Air, whatever one. Not
Yeah,
seeing any play.
Yeah, and I think just the idea of like, and I think we can even include things like Big Fist Bash here, which is like it's a breaker 3, a gigantification swing we're seeing right now. Like, people are choosing to put actual meaningful block tricks in their decks right now, and those block tricks are 100% determined sometimes by what your opponent is playing. I get it. Big Fist Bash has got a mid, but if your opponent doesn't play any mid, you ready? I know players. You know this. You know that there are players out there that are like, yeah, I don't play any mid attacks.
Crazy.
And they go, and like when you ask them why, they're like, well, they're usually the easiest thing to block, not just because of their speed, but like also because any block can block them in the game. And I'm like, I mean, like that is such a meaningful way to think about it that way as the offensive player. But when you sit down and ask them the same question, I go, well, in your own deck, do you not put mid blocks in your deck? Do you not put like are you only putting highs and lows? Do you have the same philosophy defensively? And he goes, well, no. He goes, well, you play cards and they just have mid blocks and you yada yada yada, right? But like the reality is like block spread is just as important as attack spread to some people, if not the same people. That you have to always consider, because if your perception is the thing that you brought up, oh, for a little while, low attacks just didn't exist. Like this is the same format with cards like Walk the Dog existing, right? Like, where it's like, oh, you just die because you didn't hold the low block, or like you didn't hold the low block for the smashing stomps. You just gave your opponent an extra card because you didn't value the power of low attacks. Black Abyss, remember, another one. Like, you know, things like they have existed even in our current format. It's just like the decks that we're seeing play weren't putting them in there. What was the other one that I remember? Like even during, even in the era of 4 difficulty death attacks that Mitchell Chimino tried to put us in, right? Of like,
they were all highs.
There was still
right.
There were still trace eyes though. Like
Oh,
Trace
you're
Eyes
right.
existed as a meaningful point in that deck because you held all the highs for the Battle Aura releases or the Jaw Jammers or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
But then here comes the Trace Eyes, and it's not just one low attack; it's a 2-for-1.
Man,
They've
echoes are so
always
cool.
mattered. They've always mattered.
Yeah, I think my answer to this is like you just have to understand. I will say that like I'm a little more off of the trying to make my block zones even or more even of like
We finally got him off
that
chat.
20 idea. But I think what is really important is that you have enough cards that are all three zones so that you don't get chump checked, as well as you have meaningful cards that like when you look at that again, it goes all the way back to the first topic. A lot of our game is pattern recognition and like understanding what I'm supposed to do when and where. Of like syndicate target is blank on the board. It helps me pass checks, but it's a damn good block. And maybe I will just hold this one syndicate target and block the really meaningful low attack that comes. There are 2 or 3 lows that happen, but I'm going to block the one that matters. And I think
One that kills
blocking
me.
the one that matters is as important or as everything else.
And you only present yourself the opportunity to block the one that matters if you respect the zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're also in a
Yeah.
world of open deck knowledge, right? Like
Yo, that's a point
as
I hadn't
best we
thought
can.
about either,
Like
right?
as best we can, right? Like, but like, the idea here is like at the beginning of the game, I get to look at my opponent's deck, man. Like I get to know what I need to hold. So
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but if you sit down at an event right now and go, yeah, I'm playing only one attack zone, and you don't even get the gotcha game 1 anymore, man.
Yeah. As long as people are paying attention.
Like really? Like really? Diversity of spread of attacks always matters. Always matters. Almost as important as diversity of difficulty of attacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their purpose, right? Do they set you? Is it a setup low? Is it a finisher low? You know, like indiscriminate shock is very different than giant ice wall. Like for what they do in the deck, right? Like and what their purposes are. But they're the same difficulty, and they're both lows, and they both do a thing, right? Like, so I think it's always mattered. I mean, the flexibility of deck building and like what people choose to prioritize obviously matters. If you're playing like some forced synergies, yeah, 100%. You know, like there is a reward for playing mono lows on Ibarra symbols, right? Because you get the one that shoves specifically a low into your momentum. Like, yeah, like that's a meaningful reason to have a bunch of lows. But the moment you slam the high attack against the deck that thinks you're playing mono lows is when you start like really shaking them up. Or I'll go full circle because we saw it last weekend. Characters like Mirio are really something to consider.
Yeah.
If you think a lot of people are like Andrew Porat, who we don't know his stance on the matter, but ask the question, do attack zones matter? If you're a person that answers this question with no, then I hope a Mirio eats you alive.
I hope bad things happen to you. Specifically from Mirio.
I hope you eat your words.
And this low attack. With that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the end of our show. Thank you all so much for hanging out and watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Barrett, again, thank you so much for being on. Everybody at home, thank you for being the third host and most importantly, watching what's going on. If you have any questions that you want answered, leave them in the comments of this YouTube down below. I'm going to add a third way to get on the show. If you've got a dope YouTube comment, I will
we'll talk about it
on the thing. We'll talk about it. I will pull them up and I'll send them to Barrett and we'll see what's up. So you got a dope topic, we'll pull you in as well. With that said, thank you all for hanging out. I do greatly appreciate it. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye, everybody. Okay, officially off the recording, still live on Twitch. Chat, you got us for 5 more minutes until I go raid somebody playing Riftbound.
And then there might not be one next week. We're not sure.
There might not be one next week.
So just for everybody that's still here, you got 2 weeks to put in your question potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do we rotate? Because Balancing legacy games is a nightmare. Look at retro.
I'll give you a much better answer than I. That is correct. Sorry, that was a good answer, Tam. I applaud you as my co-host for putting the plain and simple answer in front of him. I'll hit you with a separate thought experiment on why you probably will prefer games that rotate. Without rotation, you have a Yu-Gi-Oh problem, which is you're constantly always trying to come out with something better and better and better. People use the word power creep because you want people to buy your product. You have to keep giving them new, flashy, exciting tools, or they won't buy your thing. Because if the best deck in the game or the best decks in the game are from the stuff 2 years ago, no one's gonna buy your new stuff if it doesn't compete, or vice versa. So it's like you. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy sometimes playing Yu-Gi-Oh. But there's a reason why Yu-Gi-Oh is even set up and divided into eras, and some people have very differing opinions on which eras are the best, and it's because they will, quote unquote, force themselves to play in a format where certain cards don't exist because they don't do a rotation.
Yeah. Chris, Jimmy, what is it? Meta like after rotation. We talked about that a little bit last week, and that video is live on YouTube right now. So if you're interested, go check that out because I'm officially ending stream. Goodbye, everybody. I'm gonna hit you guys with a raid with Prismat. They are playing Riftbound. They got a good healthy. Apparently they're 3-0 in this Thursday night fight night.
Prismaticism?
Not a it's just Prismat from what I'm seeing. But
that might be Prismaticism on Piltover Archive. They are killing it right now. They have been like top cutting with a different deck week after week after week in the Rift Lab clashes. You should go check them out. That's exciting.
Oh yeah. Well, anywho, we'll catch you all next time, everybody. Bye. Oh, it is Prismaticism. I can see them on I can see their